So Ben was due on the 12th of April, but he actually arrived 5 days early on the 7th. It was a very quick labour, no time for any pain relief, so it was very painful. When he was born, he was quite small. He was a little bit jaundiced, so they decided to take him up into the special care baby unit, where he stayed for approximately 3 hours or so. They brought him back down to me, and I could hug him, cuddle him, keep him warm, feed him. It felt absolutely fantastic.
Well, Ben was in Kent at the time and I was in Buckinghamshire. We didn't quite expect him at that time, and I got the shout and I raced down the M25 in an old Ford van, and I got there just in time to hear the screams and the shouts, and it was great because his elder brother it had been a difficult birth, and so I was really pleased that it was a natural birth. It was all very quick, and very proud of mum, very proud of son.
Well, she enjoyed him. He was sleepy, he was tired, but he was just like any normal little baby that had just been born. I fed him, and was just over the moon. Everybody came in to see me, or to see us, I should say. It wasn't until the sort of afternoon or the sort of late into the evening that I noticed that he wasn't actually feeding properly, and I started to ask nurses for help. Or the midwife, I should say, for help. They came and tried to help me feed him, but I still wasn't happy. I'd had a child before, and I knew that it wasn't this hard to do. So I asked if I could have a bottle, because I wasn't sure that he was actually taking any milk. So I asked for a bottle. They bought a bottle, and all that happened was he would drink from the bottle, but it would all drip down his mouth. So I wasn't convinced he was taking any of that either.
Getting palmed off, saying he's absolutely fine, just put a hat on him, we said he's cold, and so repeated over a couple of days, but they were insistent that he was absolutely fine and doing well.
And he went back to sleep. In the morning, we all got up again, tried to feed him again. He didn't feed. We called the midwife, and she said that she was on her way round anyway, so she would take a look at him. About 10 o'clock in the morning, I believe, I'm not 100% on the timings, I was holding him, and he just went really stiff and grey, and it was really instant, almost to the point where I thought, did something just happen there? But I wasn't sure because it was so quick. Anyway, the midwife came shortly after that, and she witnessed one as well, and she said, right, I don't like the look of this, we're going to take him straight back in to hospital. So she arranged for him to go back to hospital. We drove in there. He was admitted into the high dependency unit, or the neonatal intensive care, where he stayed for 8 days. When Ben was admitted into the high dependency unit, they discovered that his blood sugar levels were non-recordable, and the grey episodes, the stiffening that he had at home, were actually seizures. So they had to give him medicine to try and control the seizures and up his sugar levels. Well, there've been a lot of challenging experiences looking after Ben, but I remember one in particular when he was being rather boisterous and breaking things, and I decided to put him in his bedroom for safety. So he was about 2, 3, I'm not quite sure at the time. I carried him up the stairs, and he just threw his head back on me and landed right on my throat, and I almost fell down the stairs. I managed to carry him up the stairs. I put him in his bedroom. He had a gate on his bedroom rather than a door, so I could sit and watch him. And I remember just sitting at the top of the stairs, and I cried and I cried, and I thought, this is so unfair. Why did this have to happen? Robin, my husband, came in just at that point, saw me upset, and I just said, I can't do this anymore. So it was at that point we decided to go to the doctors and see if we could get some help. And eventually, through a process, we had help with carers and respite.
I have worked with Ben for 8 years now as a support worker, so dealing with all the Ben's personal care and his daily living needs, plus as a team leader, so managing the staff part of the work, doing the rotas, doing his risk assessments, care plans.
So I'm one of Ben's carers. There's a team of us, and I've been with Ben since February 2016, so just over 5 years now.
So family and the case manager, they were very honest during the interview to inform me of all Ben's needs, challenging behaviors that I may see during work with Ben. So I was quite aware of what I'm getting myself into, and actually I found when we did start working with Ben, it was very easy.
So I was just told 13-year-old boy with autism supporting in a family home, and that's all I was given, and I just turned up on the day and went from there.
So Ben had a lot of motivators. So he loved the cake, he loved biscuits, he loved his music. If we felt he should do something at the time, we could just offer him a cake or a biscuit, and he would just follow us and do it. However, as he grew up, he found that he can make decisions for himself, and they are not always the best decisions. But if Ben chose to stay outside at night, freezing basically, he would have chosen to do it or not change his path for hours, and actually probably feel very uncomfortable, but it was decision he was able to make for himself. He also lost interest in lots of things. So when we met Ben, he was enjoying going on his trike, he was enjoying going for walks, swimming, or attending activities such as places for disabled people, or even normal places like soft play or trampolining. We were able to play with him much more as well. He would jump on the trampoline for hours, or being chased by his brothers or us, play chasing games, or just throwing cushions at him and make him giggle for hours.
He wasn't ever happy with the word no, no, you can't have any more cake, or no, it's time to stop this and do this activity. And often that was met with challenging behaviour such as headbutting or slapping at a later stage. But I suppose constantly throughout that, Ben has remained a happy person. You've always been able to have a laugh with him. He's got a wicked smile and fantastic laughs.
So there was one situation when we were in the car park where Ben was playing, and he found a tennis racket, and he decided to hit my car with the tennis racket and found it hilarious. We said no, and he didn't like to hear no at the time, and he got very upset about it. He started to kick us, try to bite us, try to headbutt us, then try to headbutt himself and everything around as well. It took maybe 10-15 minutes. We had to physically restrain him and wait for him to calm down, during which time he managed to kick us, bite us. And we noticed he had a bump on his head, so his head looked swollen, and after the situation also noticed we had scratches and bite marks on our skin.
For me, the most challenging thing, and the thing that sticks in my mind, is when Ben has his seizures, particularly the big ones, because there's nothing we can do about it. At least when Ben's is upset about something, we tend to know the reasons why. It's because we've said no, or actually he wants to do this and he can't understand why he can't, and this and that. But when it comes to a seizure, there's nothing we can do in the moment, and he becomes almost helpless post a seizure, and that's very difficult to see and to support him, and also to see the impact that has both on Ben and the family around him.
The day that admitted liability was a lovely sunny day. I think it was about the 5th of July, so it was right in the summer. I was in the house. I got a phone call from the solicitor, and she just said they've admitted liability, which meant it was somebody's fault. I went out to see Robin in the garden, And I just literally, we just hugged and hugged. I said, they've admitted it, and it was such a shock. We didn't really know what to do. We were dumbstruck. It was bittersweet because it meant that Ben was born a normal child, and we needn't have ever gone through any of this. But at the same time, because it was somebody's fault, we could now get the care that he deserved. The day of the court case arrived, and I remember waking up thinking, this is going to be a good day for Ben. This is what we've been waiting for such a long time. We arrived in London, got off the tube at Chancery Lane, took a short walk to the solicitor's office where we met our legal team. We then took another short walk to the Royal Courts of Justice, and I remember walking into that building thinking, oh my goodness, I mean, this is an amazing building. But I remembered why I was there, and that was to get compensation for Ben, to get justice for Ben, because he didn't deserve any of this, and none of this was his fault. We walked to our courtroom, and I believe that I was the first to take the stand. I was asked quite a few questions from both our team and their team. It was really nerve-wracking, but I think in all we did really well that day. The solicitors thought that both myself and my husband were really good on the stand.
Well, they weren't supposed to call me in court. Ben's mother was a litigation friend, and I was basically a witness who they didn't really need to call, because the question was over his future schooling, and for some reason, and I think it was to test the power of the witnesses, because there are fraudulent cases and there are people that try and get as much as they can out of every case in the world, and for some reason they called me hoping that I would be terrible on the stand. And of course I've been trained for court while I was in the police, and I've appeared in court, so it didn't particularly faze me, and in fact it just gave me an opportunity to unleash a whole load of diatribe at the defence as to why we're even there, and why we're being put through this, and why of all people, having them admitted 100%, why we even stood there in the first place. We'd been through enough. And our barrister just looked in amazement, because basically I tore their barrister off a strip in court, and the judge let me carry on. They only asked me one question, but I went on for about 5 minutes, and the judge didn't stop me.
At the moment we are putting in plans to put in a swim spa in the garden, because Ben loves swimming as well, and we are landscaping the garden area as well, putting in covered areas for him to sit, trampoline, fun things for him to do to make his home experience happy. We also hope that he'll start feeding the chickens again like he used to, and joining in a bit more on the farm. I mean, it's been a really tough ride, but we're really hoping that with everything that's gone on, we can learn from the experience, and we've had a lot of help from a lot of people. We've got a magnificent care team, but a great family, a brilliant school, and I think all in all we've worked really hard to help Ben reach his full potential, and that's all we could ask for.